Hello and welcome to the Purgatorians cast interviews. In this series, you shall be able to find out more information about the cast, what other projects they are currently working on, as well as their views about the character in the show. Today we have Tristan Williams, who voices Jamie Atkinson in the show. Thank you, Tristan, for joining us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here.
What was your initial response when you read through the synopsis of the Purgatorians and the cast of characters involved?
When I first read it, I think I found myself quite taken aback by just the sheer amount of variety all these different characters had. They were all from different settings, different locations, and they all had different age brackets as well. And they were all so different. And I just found that really interesting. And then the setting as well, this kind of almost a kind of medieval sensed world, but it wasn't a fantasy world. Yeah, there's an element of fantasy-ness there in the kind of lore, but it is largely a very grounded real world, and that kind of really took me by surprise. And then with this mystery element of how everyone ends up in this world and what reasons there are for that, I found it massively compelling, and it really kind of dragged me in.
What can you tell us of the story of the show, the themes, and such?
The show has multiple plot threads happening all at the same time, but we are seeing the Purgatorians seemingly up in their game in the world, which I guess the best way I'd describe it is like it's in a Cold War state. There's these two factions, Purgatorians and kind of the main body of people. They're both kind of ready if the other one attacks, but no one seems to want to necessarily press that button. And Jamie kind of arrives in this world, and he's believed to be the man mentioned in a prophecy. And that's going to bring the end to the storms and in turn break down the ruling factions. He's got a target on his back from day one, and he's starting this journey as an Imperial Guard. He's going to see his eyes open so much more to the dark, and it's hidden all around the world, from the smaller, more intimate problems, and of course that hidden power struggle that's going on out of sight. Theme-wise, I'd say the kind of main themes are, when it comes down to it, I think it is what would we do for love and what would we do for the people we care about, and then obviously death and its impact on kind of everyone around you.
In your opinion, why would people want to listen to this show? What would keep them coming back for the next episode?
I think the characters. It's definitely the characters. There's so many interesting ones, and there's so many interconnected stories, and all these characters really connect with each other. And that overarching plot as well, it's really nicely woven together. We've got enough plots that you kind of already know the overarching plot's always going to be happening. And the kind of more interpersonal, intimate ones are happening too. So I think people will grow invested in these characters and their reactions and how they're dealing with their issues. And I think everyone's going to have their own favourite character that they want to see what they're getting up to and how they're coping, probably, at some point.
Why did you want to take part in such a large project?
A large project can be looked at as a challenge, and particularly with this one's length and the scope of what it's going for. As an actor, you can also look at it as a blessing, because you get to go on this wonderful journey with the characters. You get to see them grow, and you get to kind of grow the character with them as they're growing, which is a lovely, nice challenge, but really good fun. And the show has this kind of constant changing dynamic with various different threat levels getting worse and various different characters kind of having these different emotional states and really exploring that. It adds another dynamic to how you experience it. And that's the plan for such a long-running show. And seeing how these characters respond and then how their responses might change in the season after because of the experience they had throughout that season. That massively interests me.
Tell the viewers something about your character you're voicing.
Jamie Atkinson, what to pick? He is the audience surrogate in many ways. We are meeting him as he kind of experienced this world for the first time, and the audience are as well. So we're getting to see it through his eyes while the audience are also exploring it, which is incredible. But he is more interesting than that. That is just a small part of the role he is playing, particularly in the early episodes. But he's described as a video game loving, slightly nerdy guy, is how I would look at it. But he does have this heart, this such a good heart, and lots of people are attracted to his side because of it. He's very clear on his goals, but that kind heart and that commitment to doing his best for anybody and making sure he has that strong moral justice system is incredible. And I think that's a really key part of who he is and why he kind of ends up falling into a kind of leadership position.
What do you feel will be the hardest part about bringing your character to life?
Bringing Jamie to life, I would say I can relate to him significantly. There's lots about Jamie that I really like, and I can definitely, kind of see where he's coming from. But I think the hardest part is probably his connection with Mason and finding exactly how that falls together. That's probably the biggest challenge currently, because it's almost like a brotherly relationship. And how they look at each other, but it's so much more complicated, and just making sure that's coming across correctly is going to be the biggest challenge, I think.
If your character is to die in the show, how would you want this to happen?
I think Jamie had such a normal life before he came to Serentia, and he doesn't really believe in the prophecy. So I imagine if he had to go, it would be saving someone. So maybe in some kind of fire, and saving someone that way, or in a kind of dramatic taking a blow for a friend to save their life moment. I think it's that kind of juxtaposition of going, oh, he had such a normal life and then he had such a heroic death. Or you go completely opposite and he died as he lived. Really, really mundane death. I'd love to say he dies of old age, but I'm not entirely sure I can believe that will happen. Bless him.
If you could have chosen any character, male or female, who would it be and why?
So, okay, right. There's a lot of interesting characters in the show, but I think I would have to pick Raven. I just love the character, and I love playing complicated characters. And her moral compass is so kind of like interesting to look at. And I love characters that have that kind of fluctuating moral compass. You're not sure whose side they're really gonna be on today, or is it really what mood they're in. She definitely has this own agenda, but it seems like a lot of fun to play, and her backstory is really cool as well. So that to me is if I had the option, I'd say Raven completely.
How much input do you have in the show, and does the creator of the show keep you informed about the decisions being made?
The creator of the show is extremely communicative with us, and he's given us so much insight for most of the first season to help us kind of understand our characters' journeys. And, they have a very, very clear vision of what they want. They are treating this like a completely collaborative process. So they're always open to hear our thoughts or slight tweaks on lines to make it sound more natural. And then that kind of helps make this show feel such a welcoming place to work on, and something that, I think we're all just trying to do the same thing, make this amazing piece of work a reality.
What inspired you to become a voice actor?
Well, voice acting is a rather new endeavour for me. I did start performing and training mainly in theatre when I was about 11 or 12. And then I kind of veered into performing stand-up around 17 and then did a bit of work as a compere. But I did grow up watching cartoons, as I think a lot of people do. And then I fell in love with anime, and I just loved kind of the variety of voices these actors were able to do, and that kind of energy behind it, and the technique, and how they managed to get those performances, those such realistic performances coming out, and how they were able to do that. And I was so lucky that during my professional training, I got to work with professional voice coaches, and they taught us the difference between the mediums, which was massively interesting, and how the performance works, and how those professionals kind of became into that way, which was great to learn. And from there I started experimenting with voice acting more, and I fell completely in love with that idea, and I'm just kind of happy to be able to kind of explore that.
Is this your first show, or have you done other voice acting projects?
So this actually is the first audio drama that I'm in to be released, and I'm absolutely ecstatic to be involved.
Any plans for after the show ends?
We have a while yet to think of that, hopefully. So currently not yet, but watch this space.
Where can people find you if they are interested in your work and want to know more, or possibly hire you?
Yes, so for any of my acting related stuff, I mainly post over on Instagram, so that's at Tristan_actor. And if there are any questions, they can obviously DM me, or they can follow the links to my Spotlight or my Casting Call Club profiles. Then for the Twitch streaming stuff, if anyone is interested in just me and video games, something I do think Jamie probably would have tried at some point. I can 100% see him being the type of person that definitely was committed to it at some point. You can come and check me out at twitch.tv/the_untitled gamer. And we will talk all about games, some projects I'm working on, etc. Just nice vibe.
Imagine you are your character. Any final words from them to the viewers?
It's all going to be okay. We've got this, I think.
Thank you, Tristan, for joining us. And I wish you and your character every success in both the show and your future roles.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. Honestly, it was a privilege and a pleasure to be here. And I can't wait now for us to get the show out and, be able to share it with all these wonderful people out there. So I'm very excited.
If you at home would like to take a look at the other projects Tristan Williams has worked on, is currently working on, and for any further information, please check the description of the video. If you're looking forward to the start of the show, and this has piqued your interest, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below to let us know. If you would like to support the show, Patreon members will receive 1 week ad-free and uncensored early access to all shows, amongst other benefits such as exclusive director and cast commentary videos, and the ability to be credited in the description if you would like to submit your reactions and they are chosen for a montage video. As well as much more, please feel free to look at the rewards and the tiers there. Next week we have Hedge T. Hayden joining us, who voices Abraham Montgomery, to give us their opinion on their character, the show, and other projects they have worked on. I hope you will join us. Until then, goodbye.
If I was an astronaut, I'd be floating in midair, and a broken heart would just belong to someone else down there. I would be the center of my lonely universe, but I'm only human, and I'm crashing down to earth. If I was an astronaut, I'd have a bird's eye view. I'd circle around the world and keep on coming back to you. In my floating castle, I'd rub shoulders with the stars, but I'm only human, and I'm drifting in the dark. I'm up in space now, up in space now. I searched around the universe, been down some black holes. There's nothing but space, man. And I wanna go home. If I was an astronaut, I'd speak to satellites. My navigation systems would search for other life. But I'd be up and thinking about what I left behind, 'cause I'm only human with the real world on my mind. I'm up in space now, up in space now. I've searched around the universe, been down some black holes. There's nothing but space, man. And I wanna go home. Gravity keeps pulling me down. As long as you're on the ground, I'll stick around. Stick around. I'll stick around. I'm up in space, man. Up in space, man. I searched around the universe, been down some black holes. There's nothing but space, man. No. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Nothing but nothing but nothing but space. Nothing but nothing but nothing but space. I've searched around the universe, been down some black holes. Nothing but space, man. And I wanna go home.